Dear Heavenly Father, again, we are reaching out to you for help. We are still very concerned about the coronavirus that has caused grave concerns to all. We need your help to protect all our residents from this deadly virus. Please remember our first responders, police and fire personnel that are protecting our community constantly. Please remember our loved ones, relatives, neighbors, friends, and shut-ins that are in need of our support. Thanks be to God for all that you do for us. In God's name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our Councilman Stacky, he's down with the COVID-19 virus. Now his wife Beverly and Beverly's mother has it. They all live together. Beverly's mother and Beverly are at home, but they're just so-so, and I talked to Beverly this afternoon. Stacky is in intensive care, but he's in stable condition as of today. So just you might just remember him in your prayers, that he gets better. Okay, Matt, you want to call the roll?
Yes.
Thanks.
Councilman Otten.
Here.
Councilman Bishop.
Here.
Councilman Hershuk.
Here.
Councilman Henry.
Here.
Mayor Junkins.
Here.
Councilman Sassine.
Here.
Recorder Sassine. Here. Councilman Snyder.
Here.
Councilman Wojcik will not be here tonight.
I might also mention while I was talking, Tim called me earlier tonight. He has is it your aunt, Tim?
Yeah, she's good.
Yeah, okay.
She's fine.
She fell, but she had to go to the hospital, get checked out, and he wasn't sure whether he was going to get here, but we got all these things going on. Also, I was embarrassed when I came down in the office tonight because the roads are terrible, and I was one of the first ones down, and I didn't have a problem, but I know the rest of you coming down probably is like a cat on a hot tin roof. Anyway, Ben and Junior are coming out. They're on their way now. I called them again. And also I called the state because Ridgecrest Road was an ice skating rink, so was 29th Street, both sides. And I called the state direct. I have a number for them. I call them direct, and they said they'd get somebody up here. So how soon that's going to be accomplished, I don't know. Okay, getting back to our regular agenda. We've got two sets of minutes. What did I do with them? I'm sort of in disgruntled right now. I ran the police reports and everything, and it was supposed to do it a certain way on the copier, but it didn't do what it said. I always like to copy them front and back for us, but this thing, it copied them on a single sheet. Of course, it takes up more paper. Okay, first we have the January 4th minutes that I'd asked that because there was a page missing and everything, and we got that, we got a copy of the correct minutes out to you. So I would address that first, the January 4th minutes. I would entertain a motion to approve the January 4th, 2021 minutes as presented.
So moved. Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any question on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. All opposed? Same sign. Motion carried. Okay, and in the same vein, the January 19, 2021 minutes. Is there any questions on that set of minutes? If there be no questions on that, I would entertain a motion to approve the January 19, 2021 minutes as presented.
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Any question on the motion? If there's to be no question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay. back to you, Matt. You have something you want to report on, please?
Yes, just the next council meeting will be held on Tuesday, February 16th, 2021 at 8 p.m. here at the village office. And then just one last reminder, if you have not yet handed in your 2020 quarter four financial statement from the previous election, please have that filled out and return to me at your earliest convenience.
Okay, next on the agenda is the accounts report. Jamie's not here tonight. I talked to her. I told her there wasn't much going on, and she's starting into her tax season, so she's probably still at the office doing taxes. But if there's ever anything, and I usually talk to her several times a week, so there isn't anything at this time that she needs to report on. Next is the mayor's report. First thing I want to mention, we're still having mechanical problems with our 2018 Dodge Charger Cruiser because we keep sending it back to address items that Elm Grove Dodge mechanics miss. They ignore or don't know or how to fix. I keep getting the same story, that several different individuals, mechanics, test drive the Cruiser before we pick it up. We've been out with this Cruiser since the 1st of November. That's 3 months. And it took me 3 weeks before I was able to communicate with Straub Management to get some help. And I'm thinking maybe we should be looking into find another local Dodge dealership to deal with if we continue to have this problem. But I talked to the service manager. I finally got to the top dog here, and last week it was leaking oil again. And I always thought, oh God, I hope it's not coming up from the engine. Well, it was, but they caught it in time, and I understand there was a bad oil filter housing on it. And when I said something to the service manager today, I don't think he appreciated it, but I call a spade a spade. I said, I understand that you using some used parts. Well, if the housing's cracked, somebody had to crack it, and it's a used part. Oh no, he says, who told you that? I said, this is all hearsay. I don't have any direct contact, but it's something that it needs to be considered. He said, no, we all use new parts. Okay, that was early last week. Late last week, we got it back, and our midnight guy had it for about 3 minutes. He was assisting one of the other officers on a call down to Village Plaza, and there was a big fog screen. This was radiator related. I guess there was I don't know if it was we thought it was a loose hose clamp or something, but then I was told today there was an air pocket in the system. Now, this is the first time I knew that your cooling system, this must be some of this new sophisticated apparatus that they put on vehicles. I'm used to just the old radiator and you know, but anyway, we will pick that up tomorrow morning, and I hope that it's done now. I mean, they've done everything they can, and I shouldn't maybe criticize our mechanics, but it seems if a couple mechanics take it for a test ride, they keep it every night, they suck it outside a couple times to see how it would react with the cold weather, which makes sense and everything. Then we get up here and just within a few minutes, it goes astray. I don't know, the devil's with us, I guess, I don't know. But that's a hot potato with me right now, or sore subject. Our 2009 Ford Crown Vic Cruiser has had some minor repairs on the front end. We switched the tires. We put two new snow tires on it not too long ago, but the tires we took off in the back were matching tires, and they were good. They were the new tires. What was on the front was two oddballs. So we got the new tires up on front, and then also we have new struts or shocks. I guess depending on what terminology you want to use. I used to call it shocks, but I think the newer ones are called struts. But anyway, we had that put on, and then we got it back to Bryfus to do the front end alignment, and it's pretty tight, so everything's working good on that one now. Keep my fingers crossed. You know, and another thing that goes without noticing, because we have been without the 2018 Dodge Cruiser, it's put a lot more wear and tear on the two Cruisers that we're using, the 2019 and the 2009 Ford, thanks to Elm Grove's Dodge inefficiency. Maybe I shouldn't be so hard on them, but I just call it the way I see it. As mentioned last council meeting, we had an accident on Sugar Lane in which we damaged one cinder spreader. On Monday, January 18, I called Chuck Griffith down at Wheeling Spring. I told him, I said, and he gave me, I think I'm repeating myself here a little bit, but he gave me a price to fix it. And then he gave me a price on a new one. And after we talked about the price of the fix, there's a conveyor in there. He could fix it for like $1,900, but he doesn't know how long that would last because that conveyor would be out of alignment and be down, would be back to square one. So that's when he said, well, it'd take about 10 days to get a new one. So that was on Monday. So come Friday, the same week, that's like 5 days later, we got a call. We took our truck down, we put the new spreader on, and we're back in service. So the next day I called him to thank him, and I guess when he answered the phone, his voice was real low. I guess he thought there was a problem. But when I told him about, I called to thank him for the quick service and everything, his voice went up. He was happy camper then. Road salt. Road salt's been ordered from a trucking company called J.W. Stenger Trucking. They're over in Barnesville, Ohio. And as I mentioned in the January 19 council meeting, we got approval for 3 truckloads. I've been in several conversations with Joe, the operator of the trucking company, and he's been very, very congenial, but he's running into some of the same problems we did. He has a front-end loader, and he's waiting to get a part for his front-end loader. I think it was a hydraulic cylinder or something. So he ordered it, and lo and behold, he got the wrong cylinder in. So he's back to, like today, I think today or tomorrow, he's supposed to get the cylinder in, and as soon as he gets it, we're gonna get those 3 truckloads of salt. So. And I checked the power itself, and we still have an ample supply, but I feel better when we get those 3 truckloads in, because looking back in recent years, I know February is a month that it's played havoc. Even though the groundhog's going to see you or won't see the shadow tomorrow, that's a myth. But I've been witnessing some tough Februarys. Also, in a conversation with Aaron Roth and the need for additional help on the Parks and Recreation Committee, I have thereby appointed Councilman Aaron Snyder as a new member of this committee. In fact, I had to smile because Aaron stopped in the office last week to discuss some plans that he already started on, and you know, it's just like you take the leash off and he runs. It didn't take long for Aaron to get his feet wet. Let's put it that way. Sugar Lane water line replacement project, an update on several items surrounding that area. The guardrail that was damaged on Maple Lane below the entrance to Sugar Lane, where you go up, and the house right down behind it where the guardrail is and where the fence is, that's Bruce McNeil's front yard. I was able to get some rail and posts from the Department of Highways to fix that, and our crew fixed that on Thursday, January 21. Next thing is I got to get a hold of the fence people. The fence has been upright and temporarily tied together, but it's got a couple breaks in it, and I want to make that good, so we replace it as it was before we bumped it. And then on Monday, January 25, Republic Services, they removed one of their trash dumpsters that was placed on Sugar Lane, right next to the Village of Sugar Lane water tank, and it was also in the way of our construction up there. And they placed there weeks ago to assist a neighbor that was in a process of, I think somebody bought a house up there that needed cleaned out, and so they were putting their worldly possessions in the dumpster. So it's out of the way now of our construction. On Wednesday, January 27, while working on some valve and water line connections, the street crew had to shut off the water service to the residents on Maple and Sugar Lanes. Our office gals notified those affected residents, in other words, the one in Sugar and the one in Maple. Well, up in that area, there's some gray areas that we're not really familiar with, and this goes back to give you a little history. Inadvertently, there is a large valve pit located at the entrance to Maple Lane on the left side going in. This pit was designed by the City of Wheeling. It was installed by Savage Construction years ago. I remember when it was done, but I couldn't tell you maybe 10 plus years ago. But it's got a series of valves in there, and that was to address the altitude valve that was operated on the Sugar Lane tank, and there's been different changes since then. The village crew was not familiar with this pit, nor have they accessed the pit recently, so there's several valves that are located around the entrance to Maple Lane. Bottom line, we shut off the wrong valve. And the valve that we shut off was also the valve that distributes water to residents south on 88 towards Marshall County. So that meant that not only was Maple Lane and Sugar Lane out, but also was Beehaven and Meadow Drive and people along Ridgecrest Road from Maple Lane on. This incident was accidental, and our village crew are creating new mapping notes so that the next time this problem will not be duplicated. Actual construction by HB Excavating on a new water line is moving along as weather permits. They're not working every day, but they're making progress. They usually work when it gets cold or something. Like the pit they were in when we shut the valves off was about 9.5 feet down, and that's a little abnormal. We usually don't have things down that deep, but because of freezing and everything, they took a couple days off to work when it would be safer. And then our engineer has been monitoring activity on this project. The village's propane storage tank, which is right outside here, that's situated along the side of our building, was exchanged out on Thursday, January 28th by Marshall County Co-op for the larger size. We had a 500-gallon tank out there, and we exchanged it to put in a 1,000-gallon tank. And to look at it, it really doesn't, you can't hardly tell unless you took your tape measure, because they were able to mount it on the same pads and everything. And one of the things, there's no charge for this exchange. Now, the village's cost per unit will be lower, and this is quantity related because we will get larger loads. When we get larger loads, it's based on quantity, so our price per unit is less, and that won't be as often. The new larger tank looks the same. It's hard to tell because it's mounted on the same pads and foundation. Recently, I've spent a lot of time on the telephone since last meeting, mostly with Elm Grove Dodge, attempting to get the message about their unsatisfactory and poor workmanship. I've had conversations with the West Virginia Department of Highways, Cosing Construction, J.W. Stinger Trucking, for salt, Blyfus Tire, Wheeling Spring, and other vendors, plus our accountant Jamie, our solicitor TC, and these companies and individuals are a pleasure to converse with. We take the good with the not so good. Finally, not so good for our street crew, but on Saturday night, January 30, this last Saturday night, we had a water break on Ridgecrest Road. It's the 8-inch line. Luckily, it was located right about 112 Ridgecrest, which is basically at the bottom of the snake pin and right across the backside of Poplar. Luckily, where the line was located, it was off to the side and wasn't in the middle of the road. So it was a lot easier from a traffic standpoint to work on it, safer and everything else. The downside of it is that this break was discovered maybe about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So then our crew assembled out there at 6 o'clock. Then we were delayed by Mountaineer Gas for approximately 2 to 3 hours because we were waiting for their authority to come and mount and spot their gas line that was adjacent to our water line there. In fact, when I looked in the pit, I saw it looked like it was an old abandoned water line because it had the metal termites got to it, and I thought that was a gas line, but they said, no, that's an old water line there. But the guy finally showed up. The temperature was in the 30s with a slight breeze. This job concluded shortly after midnight, so they were out that long. So then, after that, they had to reassemble, and our crew's been working like 2 guys at a time, one on each cinder spreader, 2 trucks. Okay, so the guys, the whole crew was out except for 2 guys. So then we had 2 guys come out to start plowing snow, so that the snow was supposed to come around 10 o'clock, but it didn't start till after 2 a.m. The crew split their shifts and worked until Sunday afternoon, waiting for the next round. Now this was supposed to be like in 3 volleys, first on Saturday night, and then Sunday during the day, and now tonight. So you saw what it had tonight. So That's some of the things going on around town. Okay, Parks and Recreation, Aaron, you wanna mention, the project that you started to work on?
Yeah, so, this last Friday, since I got moved to Parks and Rec, this last Friday I came in and spoke with Aaron for a couple hours in the morning. Friday morning, we had the meeting with the state regarding our addition to the walking trail and relocating that stream into underneath walking trail. The engineer that came up was really nice with the state. He came up, he said everything looks great from his standpoint. He wants to get started. He said that the plans that came across his desk were some of the best plans he's seen. He was extremely thrilled with that, so that got him excited to work with us. However, along with him came a community development specialist and an environmental inspector. The environmental inspector came up, and the only thing that may hold this project back is he has to decide whether that stream is an intermittent stream or runoff water. If that stream is deemed an intermittent stream, if that water is deemed an intermittent stream, it goes into federal jurisdiction. And we have to file all new paperwork, all new permits. And the engineer said just the time to file all that and get through all the paperwork, this could go from this June, July into the next year's June or July. So that's the worst case scenario. We're hoping to avoid that. The engineer also advised us to apply for another 80-20 grant, meaning we'll pay 5% of it, for $25,000. That, he said that will just ensure that we have enough, once we get all the work done, to ensure that we have enough to put the gravel and everything on top of it. Now, I wanted to inform you guys exactly how we were getting the funding from the grants. We're not going to receive a check for $50,000 or $40,000. It's going to be on a reimbursement standpoint, meaning at the end of each month or weekly, however they decide to write it up, I'm assuming Aaron will give the state a report of our labor costs, and there's a list of approved machinery for rentals. So we'll be reimbursed at the end of each week or month, however they decide to do it, for that amount.
I think they call that downdrafting. In other words, it's pay as you go. We get reimbursed, but we have to submit our own invoices to them.
Right.
That's a common procedure.
Right. So, Erin said she is going to start working in the grant. I think grants open back up in March. She said she will start working on that grant as soon as she can. As you guys know, our crew is going to be doing the work in-house. I spoke with the engineer. He said it is the best way to do it. The state supports it fully because we are laying 12-inch pipe out there, and the state themselves, if we bid it through them, they require $80 a foot. And so they supported it. So doing it in-house is going to be the most cost efficient for us. The community development specialist is going to be in contact with Aaron via email just to get the contract set up, the agreement and everything, so we can start on this project. So that's all I have with that. I have a couple other things. I spoke with Aaron after that meeting, and she informed me that the insurance company we're dealing with in regards to the accident that took place on the Pup-Up Golf Course, is giving us $2,881.85 to fix the damage. That check came in this morning. Aaron has it, so we're going to get started on that as soon as we can. The only other thing I have is Friday. Aaron mentioned the idea of possibly getting a crosswalk up here, right where our walking trail intersects with the road coming down to the municipal building. I told her if she would get me in contact with the city of Wheeling, I'd see if they have a template or however they install their crosswalks. They put me in touch with a company in PA. They install thermoplastics. It's just a sheet of plastic, comes a 30-foot roll, 12-inch wide sheet of plastic that You use a blowtorch and put it down. This company, they sell it, and then they also send someone down for free training. So Ben and however many guys he thinks will be sufficient will get free training on how to lay this stuff properly. The only thing, it costs $70 to put this crosswalk in. That's close to how much a good can of paint is going to cost us to put it down. And we're getting free training for our guys, and I think this stuff will be stuff we'll use in the future too, for other needs. I presented this information to Don on Friday. He gave me the approval to move forward with the purchase. I'm currently emailing back and forth with the salesman. It should be purchased within this next couple weeks. That's all I have.
Question.
Yeah.
Thanks, Aaron.
The question might be maybe for TC or Don.
Uh-huh.
If the park committee got the grant, will we have to transfer the funds into the park to pay the people and then get reimbursed into the park fund? Or will we be allowed to pay for labor out of the general fund and then reimburse the general fund?
I would think the reimbursement, Tim, I don't know, I would have to ask Jamie that question, but it makes sense that, I know where you're coming from.
You know what I mean? If the park committee got the grant, do we have to fund the park committee to pay the bills, and then the state refunds the park committee, which then we transfer back into the general fund?
Yeah, that-
Yeah, that's a tricky,
Yeah, that probably
Yeah.
stays in the park fund
Right.
all the way. If
because
we
it
have-
doesn't have the
If
40.
we have to borrow money to pay something,
Right.
we just have to pay it. We
Right.
could borrow money out of the general fund, but we'd have to
Right.
reimburse it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll talk to Aaron about that.
Anything, okay, next, anything on the police committee? Tonight, I ran this report for Russ, and I'm upset because I thought I programmed the copier properly, but, because I always like to copy front and back, well, I just did front all the way around, so I had to take and recollate them, because normally it's put together, but anyway, we put your reports on the desk there, so. Okay, anything with roads and streets?
I have
Tom?
nothing.
No, I don't have
Just keep the snow off.
Yeah, thank you.
Stay safe.
Okay, Tim, anything on water and sewer?
Just something small. We had our first Bethlehem softball committee meeting. So I'm the coach for the youngest kids, the Foxtail, and then Bob Potts and Jody Gardill. And so we had signups this last weekend, and again, we'll have them this coming Saturday. So we did a little impromptu coaches meeting, and a couple of the other coaches mentioned that the softball committee in the village got together a couple years ago, and we paid to regrade the parking lot. And from where the guys have been dumping all the water break, they've eliminated about 25 parking spaces all along Village Field. And so the coaches were wondering if we could move that dirt around and build it back up, especially, I mean, season's gonna start next month.
I saw that down there, but what I want to do is get them to get down there with the hoe and move it.
Yeah, I'm Mark, you'll remember, I forget the guy's name that we had to,
Oh, I remember. I wonder why it's getting filled back up. We got
yeah,
such a short
do you remember
memory.
that guy's name that came in and he regraded the whole parking
He
lot?
worked for Caston Baker.
That's what it was.
He did it free with the piece of equipment he had. But we shouldn't dump there.
Well,
We gotta have another spot.
I think all that's coming from Sugar Lane. That's what, before when we did Green Tree and we did West, the other,
Evergreen
yeah,
and Poplar.
there was, yeah, right. There were other places that they dumped it, and I went by there recently, and I said, where the hell is all that coming from?
Yeah.
And, no, it shouldn't be.
We need to have a place where we need dirt and take it there, out of
Yeah.
sight, not on
We
our
need to find
baseball
another
parking lot.
dirt dump.
I mean, we had such a big deal over getting that thing fixed, and now look at it.
Yeah, we're back to square one.
Who's dumping it there? Are the guys for fixing,
I think the contractor, I don't know,
Sugar?
I didn't ask questions, but I'm assuming the amount of dirt there is coming from Sugar Lane.
yeah, we need to find another spot where we need it. I'm sure there's some hillsides where we kinda need it.
My backyard's slipping. And it's not an immediate
Well, what it'll do, Tim, you know what it does, it starts sending
Yeah.
the water back to the baseball
Well,
field.
right, but, you know, season doesn't start, we'll probably start practicing in March.
Not to mention, it kinda looks bad, 29th Street there.
I'll try to get this addressed, pronto on with some of the other projects. No, I noticed that and I wasn't pleased with that.
That's all I had, sir,
Okay.
thank you.
Well, that's good to bring up, okay. Zoning, anything on zoning, Mark?
Nothing,
Okay.
nothing. How about you, anything from zoning I haven't heard about?
Anything for what?
Anything that I should know about?
Not yet, but there are gonna be some things come up here, I'm
The
sure.
wires have been silent, Dawn.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Okay, well, anything, TC, do you have anything to report to council?
Yeah, I've been very busy on various village matters, but nothing to report tonight.
Okay. Then we had the police report that we, tonight. Okay, is there anything under old business that has to come up before council tonight? Old business. Okay, if there's nothing under old business, how about,
Oh,
new?
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I apologize, I forgot.
No problem.
I wanted to thank you, for, you know, you and I talked on the phone, and I should have mentioned under roads and streets, and I apologize. I went through and marked the trees, and thank you for your phone call on that, and, I appreciate your willingness to get it done.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
there were a lot of them that are marked.
Yeah.
I could have went through 2 cans of paint instead of one,
I thought
but.
there was gonna be about a dozen. I understand one of the guys counted them and said 52.
Yeah, there's a lot of leaners on that, especially on that one side of the road. A couple of them just make sure they're careful, because a couple of them are trapped in those power lines.
Right.
So
Yeah, I
we
gotta
don't want
talk
our
to Terry
guys
about
getting
that.
injured.
No,
But thank you.
What I'm trying to do is get the crew to take the small ones down they
Yeah.
can handle. The bigger ones, that's the one I want a tree trimmer to get.
There's a giant cherry tree that's by the first pole, and it's set up maybe 10 or 15 yards up onto the hill, but it's coming out over. I think that one has potential of hitting the physical therapy place if it falls. So just tell them to be careful.
Yeah.
Is that all?
Dawn, I forgot something also. It's in Tim's ward. At the end of Birch, you know, the gravel road goes up to, Westgate.
Sleepy Hollow.
There's kids slipping through there. I think if they don't get the light at the top of the hill, they cut down Village and through Birch, and they go out there and they go up to Westgate. And I got it from a neighbor who tells me. And is that a? I mean, it's certainly we don't pave it. We shouldn't be. They shouldn't have to deal with that extra muddy traffic there.
What is it, with dirt bikes or with
No,
ATVs?
cars. You know what I mean? If they get a red light at the top of the hill, I think they're cutting through the gas station. I get this from someone who's seen it and lives there and cutting through the gas station down Village and then back Birch and through that way instead of waiting on the light and going down the hill. Seems kind of crazy, but
Take them longer to
just
do
a
that.
question, what about that road? Is that just, that's all probably our road, we just never paved it?
Yeah.
So right away, ain't it?
Yeah. They call it Sleepy Hollow.
It's been there forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think maybe if we put a sign, no through traffic.
Well, unfortunately, I wouldn't mind putting signs up if people don't read signs, and the ones that, don't observe signs, they're the ones that are the trespassers, so to speak. Plus, just to mention, I've seen people who have been sitting at the light up there by Griselles and everything, and I've seen people on Ridgecrest there, they'll cut through the parking lot to go, they're headed westbound. You know, they ought to, those people ought to be cited. They're going on private property for one thing, and it's, they can't wait a few minutes for the light. And that light moves pretty good, and it stays. I think there must be a timer on there or a sensor that if there's a lot of traffic going one direction, it lets a lot of them go. But, it's just a lot of inconvenience. We could look into that, Mark.
Yeah, I don't know what it needs, but I guess if you live there and you see it,
Yeah.
and then,
Well, a lot of times we don't know it unless somebody, mentions like that. And then
Do we have to grant access to it?
Did what?
Do we have to? Does
I don't
it
even
have
know.
to be accessible?
there's a home back there,
Yeah,
you
there's
know.
a home has a driveway off of it.
Bernie Dolan lives back there.
Yeah, so,
Oh, that's how Bernie gets to his place?
Yep.
Okay, never
Yeah.
mind. I was gonna say, could we chain it, like we did with Red Fox when we were
Well,
using it?
maybe a big no through traffic sign, and that way, if we know we got a couple people zipping through there, speed, we can enforce it. You can got something to stand on and say, stop it,
Yeah.
or pay the $100 for the ticket. I don't know.
Okay.
It is an extra way out if a tree were across the road
Yeah.
down on the west gate, you know.
Well, that's what I was thinking is the access point when they do fell a bunch of trees, if they do 10 or 12 at a time, route people through Sleepy Hollow while they're cleaning it up, that way trafficking, the flow can stay.
Yeah, but you don't wanna close it off, I don't think.
Okay. Now we're back to new business. Is there any new business that come before council tonight?
Oh, that was new, I'm sorry.
No, if there's no new business, I would entertain a motion for adjournment at that point.
so move.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Meeting